Hey there! Welcome back to another episode of Critically Speaking. Today we'll be looking at video game adaptations to the big screen. The successful, the failures, and the downright wacky. Movies like Super Mario Bros., Wreck-It Ralph, and Sonic the Hedgehog have had successful runs at the box office. Including their respective sequels, each of the aforementioned franchises have contributed to a $2.6 billion take at the box office, with the new Super Mario Bros. Movie responsible for $888 million. However, there seems to be a large disparity between fans and critics of these movies. We'll have to take a closer look at why fans love these movies, yet critics find them to be subpar, vapid cash grabs, heavily reliant on nostalgic heartstrings of millennials. What makes these movies successful or unsuccessful? Let's get critical. Since the early 90s, movie adaptations of popular video games have seen their ups and downs. Some have been successful at the box office and received critical acclaim, while others have been poorly received by audiences and critics alike. Over the last 30 years, movie adaptations of video games, we'll call them adaptations for short, have an average rating of 26% on Rotten Tomatoes. Despite the Rotten Tomatoes score, studios continue to produce adaptations even with low to no profits. More often than not, these movies are released to poor fan reviews, yet as technology advances and time passes, we've seen reboots, sequels, and prequels take their shot at capturing audiences worldwide. But be it due to poor quality, lack of understanding the source material, or fan expectations, adaptations have struggled to deliver consistent content over the years. In order to avoid the pitfalls of its predecessors, films like the Super Mario Bros. Movie and Sonic the Hedgehog relied on talented filmmakers appealing to a wider audience and embracing the source material. First, let's take a look at what makes a movie a flop. Despite critics viewing themselves as the end-all be-all behind the success or failure of a movie, they have little to do with the technical success of a film. A movie's financial success or failure is determined by several factors, including budgeting, box office performance, marketing and distribution costs, competition, and finally, critical reception. With these categories, one can determine the true success or failure of a film despite disparaging reviews from critics or fans. Budgeting involves the amount of money spent on producing, and marketing a movie can have a significant impact on its financial success. Movies with high budgets may require higher box office sales to break even, while movies with lower budgets may be able to turn a profit with lower box office sales. Meaning, despite not breaking in huge numbers at the box office, a movie with a lower budget could still be considered successful if costs were low to produce. Let's take a look at 2016's Angry Birds movie. Rotten Tomatoes scores would suggest this movie was a flop, as fans and critics unanimously considered the animated family comedy a dud and an unsuccessful movie. However, the numbers would suggest otherwise. On a budget of $180 million, including marketing, Angry Birds brought in $352 million at the box office, creating a profit of roughly $170 million. Even though no one seemed to enjoy the movie, this would suggest that bankability, or the weight behind an IP, can carry it to success without the product being something worth the dollars. It was in Rovio, the studio behind the Angry Birds franchise, best interest to capitalize on the height of the Angry Birds craze. A studio's marketing and distribution can make or break a movie, but as seen in many instances, the best marketing is word of mouth. Movie marketing encompasses all the activities and strategies used to promote a movie to its intended audience. This includes everything from the initial concept and development of the movie through to its release and beyond. Movie marketing may include tactics such as trailer releases, social media campaigns, press coverage, premieres and events, merchandise, and more. The goal of movie marketing is to generate buzz, create excitement, and ultimately drive ticket sales. In 2020, a live-action movie adaptation of the popular video game franchise Sonic the Hedgehog was released in theaters. The movie generated a lot of buzz and excitement leading up to its release, but when the first trailer was released in 2019, fans were taken aback by the design of the Sonic character. Many fans criticized the character's appearance, claiming that it didn't look like the beloved character that they knew and loved. The backlash was so intense that the movie's director, Jeff Fowler, announced on Twitter that the Sonic character design would be changed to address fans' concerns. The movie's release date was also pushed back from November 2019 to February 2020 to allow for the character redesign. The new character design was released in November 2019, and fans were pleased to see that it looked much more like the Sonic they knew from the video games. The new design was more faithful to the original design of the character, with larger eyes, a smaller nose, and a more cartoon-like appearance. The decision to redesign the Sonic character was a significant gamble, as it meant delaying the movie's release and incurring additional costs to make the changes. However, the gamble paid off, as the movie was a commercial success and received positive reviews from both fans and critics. The success of the Sonic movie demonstrated the importance of listening to fans and making changes when necessary to ensure the success of a project. As most fans and critics, I tend to judge movies by its pacing, story, plot, and character development. However, I don't hold movies like Wreck-It Ralph or Mortal Kombat to the same standards as Interstellar or No Country for Old Men. I go to adaptation movies for the campy, on-the-nose references and the fun time invoked when I played the game. There are plenty of examples of adaptations taking themselves too seriously and losing the very fan base the movie is trying to target. An example of this is the 1994 Street Fighter movie, which was based on the popular fighting game franchise of the same name. The movie attempted to take the fantastical world of the Street Fighter games and ground it in a more realistic and serious tone. However, this approach ultimately backfired as the movie's plot and characters ended up feeling flat and uninspired. The movie's plot was overly complex and convoluted, trying to tie together multiple storylines from the game into a cohesive narrative. This resulted in a story that was difficult to follow and lacked the fun, light-hearted tone of the games. One bright spot of this movie was the campy, over-the-top, hammed-up acting of the late Raul Julia as M. Bison. He understood the assignment and knew what the character of Bison meant to the game series and the fans. This, however, wasn't enough to save the movie from a critical and abysmal failure. As of the recording of this episode, the new 2023 Super Mario Bros. Movie has already grossed over $888 million at the box office. A cast of proven voice actors with great comedic timing in Chris Pratt and Charlie Day as the titular Mario and Luigi, also landing Jack Black as Bowser, the Super Mario Bros. Movie checked a lot of the boxes to have a successful run at the box office. After the commercial fail of the 1993 movie Super Mario Bros., Nintendo refrained from allowing any of its IP adapted to the big screen. But in 2015, Illumination CEO Chris Meledandri and Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto began talks of a new Mario movie faithful to the game and source material. The movie incorporates multiple games including Super Mario Bros., Mario Kart, Super Smash Bros., and even Luigi's Mansion, each individual Mario IP with its own rabid fanbase. The directors, Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic, are also fans of the games and know the IP very well. These are crucial elements to making a successful adaptation. Many critics slammed the movie for incorporating too many Easter eggs and nods to game elements and dragged the movie for having a thin plot, even going as far as criticizing the potential bestial relationship between Bowser and Princess Peach. This is a case of the critics taking the movie way too serious, looking for Christopher Nolan writing or Stanley Kubrick directing in a video game movie, posting pretentious pieces picking apart every pitfall and problem. Despite this, fans have thoroughly enjoyed what the movie provides, not taking itself too serious, but taking the source material serious enough to know what the fans want to see, and understanding detailed intertwined plot and story can be sacrificed for fan service. Explaining things that aren't explained in the game, going deeper into the lore in a 2-hour movie can have the exact opposite effect in an adaptation movie. If hundreds of hours of gameplay have not explained the reasons or history behind something like power-ups, then I doubt throwing a haphazard reason in the movie would add much more to the film. The directors would find themselves spending more time filling in gaps and explaining things than giving the fans what they came to the movies to see. But what do you think? With the recent surge in blockbuster adaptation movies, are we headed to something of a golden age in video game movies? Do you have a favorite video game adaptation? Have we cracked the code in video game adaptations? Let me know down in the comment section. I'd like to see a 3D animated Street Fighter movie done right. The 2D animated action movies are spot on, especially Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. But those were more on the serious side, which I'm not opposed to if done right. I believe the running theme of successful adaptation movies is sticking to and knowing the source material. Listen to the fans and give them what they would expect when playing the game. Overall, a successful video game adaptation movie requires a combination of respect for the source material, strong storytelling, capturing the essence of the game, casting the right actors, and a talented director who can bring it all together. That's it for today's episode of Critically Speaking. Thanks for joining us as we explore the latest movies, games, and hot topics. Stay up to date with our latest content by hitting that notification bell. And if you enjoyed the show, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. And as always, stay critical.